thing. Okay, good evening. As we said yesterday, we'll dedicate the shiur for all the shalom of everybody, all the kochot habitachon, and all the shalom of all the ptsuim, and the shalom of the shvuim, the being captured in Gaza Strip, and for the families of those the victims of all the what happened from Shabbat, and B'ezrat Hashem it will be for them as a nechama. Okay, let's start. We're starting. All this week came across the gap between Sefer Dvarim and the end of the Torah and the beginning. We have a new beginning from Sefer Bereshit. Unfortunately, we didn't have. We didn't celebrate the Torah on Shabbat, but as I said yesterday in the Hebrew Shiur, some people, the Shloah Kadosh and others, say that if you want to know exactly what some phrase or some verb or some root in Hebrew means, go to the first time it's mentioned in the Torah. Let's say if you want to know what Sukkah is, before you learn all the halachos of Sukkah, philosophically, you want to know what Sukkah means, go to the first time Sukkah is mentioned in the Tanakh. It's actually by Yaakov when he comes back from the years in Haran. He comes and he builds himself a house, and then he builds for his mikneh, for the sheep, he makes a Sukkah. So that's the first place in which Sukkah is mentioned. And from then, if you want to understand how the Torah relates to Sukkah, look there. In Parashat Bereshit, we have many things like that. You can look at words, at roots, at verbs, like what bara means, to create, what litzor means, what la'asot means, what tov means. By saying ki tov, what does it mean? It's good. Now you have to remember that now after Chet Adam HaRishon, we have a choice. So now we know to differentiate between the good and the evil. But as the Rambam himself asks in his Moreh Nevuchim, Chelek Aleph, Perek Bet, the famous question and the famous marvelous question that the Rambam brings. It's impossible to assume that Adam HaRishon was created without the free choice, because from the pshat of the pasuk, it seems as if Adam HaRishon was born with nothing. Kadosh Baruch Hu creates him as a creature with no free choice, and just when he tells him, don't eat from Etz Hadat, and when he sins and eats from Etz Hadat, then HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells him, V'yitem kelohim yodei tov v'ra. Now you know what tov v'ra is. And so the Rambam has this very basic question, and he says that he differentiates between tov v'ra and emet v'sheker, truth and false. Rambam says that before Chet Adam HaRishon, Adam HaRishon knew just and thought just in binary numbers, either zero, null, nothing, false, don't have to do it, or one, meaning right, righteous, good, pious, whatever you want. He didn't have the taiva, the tendency to try maybe it's good, maybe it's not. Like, rational people, sometimes they think yes or no, this is good, this is not. If it's good for me, I do it. If it's not, it's the same. I don't do it. So the same is for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. If it's good, if HaKadosh Baruch Hu says it's the truth, and therefore I do it without no reason, no excuse, no tava, no tendency to do or not to do. I don't do it because I like it, and I don't not do it because I don't want to do it. That's what the Rambam says. And after sinning, Rambam says that Adam HaRishon changed himself, the whole phrases. He moved from terms of emet v'sheker into a system of Tov Vera. But again, I don't want to say the Rambam because in other Shiurim I mentioned it several times, but if you go back to Tov, Vayar Elokim et ha'or ki Tov, what does it mean Tov? We're now before Chet Adam HaRishon, before even human being is created, where it's the first day. What does it mean Tov? Tov, it's moral. Tov, it's beneficial. What does it mean? You know that if you open Even HaEzer, Siman, the first Siman, so the Shulchan Aruch, the tool, starts with Lo Tov V'yot Adam Levado, a pasuk from our Parsha, Eseh lo Ezer kenegdo. That's why it's called Even HaEzer. It discusses all the relation between a man and a woman, Gerushin, Nisuin, and Ktubot, etc. So the Tur says, Lo Tov, what does it mean, Tov? And all the Mefarshim of the Tur brings him a lot of options to understand what Tov is. So by saying Tov, what do you mean? You have a lot of interpretations to the word Tov. We have Vayar Elokim et ha'or ki Tov, and the Torah repeats again and again and again. And as we'll see, I don't want to discuss just phrases and verbs. I want to look at the parasha as a whole and to look the creation of a human being being repeated twice in Perek Aleph and Perek Bet, as we know, and to give you a new way to see it. I'm pretty sure that you're familiar with the famous Rav Soloveitchik's interpretation to this tira in Perek Aleph or Perek Bet. All the biblical criticism discussed it, because if you look, Perek Aleph is very nice, it's very chronicle. You start from the first day, from Sunday, you end at the sixth or seventh day. As I said yesterday, the separation between Perek Aleph and Perek Bet is based on 13th century separation by Comer called Langton, and therefore it has a Christian tendency and influence on him, and he divided the Shabbat from the 6 days. But in Judaism, now we won't discuss why he did it, but in Judaism, it's very clear that we have to read from Sunday till Shabbat. So we have a flow. We have at the beginning, HaKadosh Baruch Hu creates the light. Later, he creates the place, or just enables the place by separating the water, and then separating the water from the earth, and then all the trees, and then all the fish and ofot, and then you have the animals. There is a beautiful midrash saying it's mamash like a person that you want to be mesameach somebody, so you have a son or daughter that gets married, and you want to be mesameach them. So first of all, you have to choose a hall, ulam chatunot, ulam smachot. So you need lights. Okay, you see how the light is. Okay, then you need a place to dance, then a place to eat, and then you need that the place will be separated from, let's say, the orchestra, okay, because you don't want the sound of the orchestra. And then on this, you want tables with a lot of ornaments and kishutim, and then you need the first dish. The first dish is not, you never eat the animal, you never eat the cow at the first dish. You eat firstly the fish, okay? There is fish and there is off, and just later you ate a steak. You eat a animal of the Friday morning creation, and then you are the chatan. Then you can come. Well, everything is set. Then you come last of Maaseh Bereshit, and it's participates in the Seudah. That's one shita of Perek Aleph. As I said, it's a midrash as well, and therefore you created the last one, and then you rest. You sin. Adam HaRishon sinned, and rest. HaKadosh Baruch Hu rested on Shabbat, and then the end of it. But coming to Perek Bet, it's totally different because it looks as if nobody has seen the Perek Aleph. אלה תולדות השמיים והארץ בהיברעם, ביום עשות השם אלוקים ארץ ושמיים. הקדוש ברוך הוא has never done ארץ ושמיים in one day, okay? Because what does it mean? הקדוש ברוך הוא made the creation as we see, בראשית ברא אלוקים את השמיים ואת הארץ in 6 or 7 days, not just one יום. וכל שיח השדה טרם יהיה בארץ, okay? So we're talking before the Tuesday, because on Tuesday we have שיח השדה, okay? וכל עשב השדה טרם יצמח. כי לא המטיר השם אלוקים על הארץ. What relation does it have to the rain? We haven't talked about the rain. HaKadosh Baruch Hu had a lot of water. I'm pretty sure that when HaKadosh Baruch Hu was separated between earth and water, the soil was so full of water that it had so much water to enable all the trees to grow. So what does it mean? Rashi says, Adam en לעבוד את האדמה, meaning to say, to pray. If you read Pshat, what does it mean? Adam en, for sure Adam en, because Adam, you're on Tuesday or before Tuesday, and Adam will be created on Friday. We know that already from Perek Aleph. So what does it mean? וייצר השם אלוקים את האדם, עפר מן האדמה, ויפח באפיו נשמת חיים. So you're talking about Tuesday, and then you skip to Friday. What is it going on here? So Rav Soloveitchik had his famous the lonely man of faith, based on the description of these two prakim. The first one is devoted to what he says, the man of glory, Ish Ahadar, as it's called in Hebrew, meaning he described there the man of the 20th century in the United States, the power of a man, high-tech, thinking, enabling to build, to create, to make things. That's the Adam of Perek Aleph. We have the Adam that comes at the end, and he's very chashuv because all the world is waiting for him, everything is prepared, and he takes, HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells him, takes all the things that that have been created before you, and use them. You can take the matachot and the resources of the ground and everything in the world, and just think and take control of them. And you are as a master. You have to create out of them, to use them, to use them wisely. We have a lot of problems of nature you have to solve, etc. That's the man of success, the man of glory, as Rav Soloveitchik describes him. On the other hand, we have a description on Perek Bet, starting basically from the Adam, and it's very sad, or very there is no אין אבק של כוכבים. You don't see stars here in Perek Bet, because Adam is created to do something from his birth to the world. וכל שיח השדה, again, טרם יהיה בארץ, וכל עשב השדה טרם יצמח. So we don't have any grass or any tree, כי לא המטיר הקדוש ברוך הוא על הארץ, ואדם אין לעבוד את האדמה. So what's the goal of Perek Bet? If I'll be created, my goal will be from birth לעבוד את האדמה. Something that is not mentioned in Perek Aleph, okay? And therefore, הקדוש ברוך הוא puts them לעובדה ולשומרה. Okay, so we have something here that the man is not magnificent, is not the man of glory, is the lonely man of faith. Adam in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's how Rav Soloveitchik describes it. And that's why the Torah ma'aricha in the creation of Adam, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu put him in the ground in order to make something for the trees, for the ground itself. Okay, so that's Rav Soloveitchik, but I want to take the two prakim and to see something very interesting in both of them together, not as a contradiction between the first one and the second one, but looking both of them as one unit. It's very interesting, as I said, that by looking at Parashat Bereshit, you would imagine that some of the basic sources of Yahadut, of Judaism, will appear here. Let's say yesterday in the Shiur, in the Hebrew Shiur, I said, pay attention to how Shabbat is mentioned. I'm repeating it just to the English speakers, so if you have heard it yesterday, in a minute it'll be away. Vaychal Elokim bayom hashvi'i, the seventh day. You would expect HaKadosh Baruch Hu to describe Shabbat as Sabbato, as Shabbat, okay? Not just the verb to rest. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Vayishbot bayom hashvi'i, that's just a verb that HaKadosh Baruch Hu rested on the seventh day, but 3 times here for the first time, second and third, HaKadosh Baruch Hu mentions Shabbat and nicknames it like the Yom HaShvi'i, just the seventh day. Even in English, we have special day for each day, and we have Saturday, okay, for Shabbat. We don't just say first, second, third, seventh. It's ma'aliv, it's not nice. It's just one of 7. If it's the special day, and we know that the whole parasha looks like Shabbat is a tachlit of the bria, of the creation, so why is it that is mentioned just in Vayvarech Elokim et Yom HaShvi'i, not the Shabbat? That's one. But now I want to ask why Adam HaRishon, if he is created in both Perek Aleph and Perek Bet, is not put in a world that he has Avodat Hashem. What about Avodat Hashem? What is he created? כן, האדם לא נברא, רמח"ל, in מסילת ישרים, אלא להתענג על השם. אדם, okay, he comes to learn Torah, he comes to pray, he comes to have a קשר with הקדוש ברוך הוא. I won't say to learn Torah. To learn Torah, it's a modern way of saying קשר to הקדוש ברוך הוא, because in the last 200 years, we just speak about Torah from the Gra's time. But before, we don't have Torah till Parashat Yitro. But I would expect that HaKadosh Baruch Hu would be put in this world in order to make Avodat Hashem. So Rashi tries to put it in. מה זה לעבוד את האדמה? זה בעצם לעבוד את הקדוש ברוך הוא. מה זה כי לא המטיר השם אלוקים על האדמה ואדם אין לה... There is no person to daven for the rain to be. But in Pshat, it's mamash, if you look at both Perek Aleph and Perek Bet, we have just relation between man and his world, not between man and his creator, not at all. Go back to Perek Aleph. ויברא אלוקים את האדם, ויאמר אלוקים נעשה אדם כצלמנו כדמותנו, and וירדו, what's for? וירדו, he'll take control over דגת הים, עוף השמיים, בבהמה, בכל הארץ, בכל הרמס הרומס על הארץ. ויברא אלוקים את האדם בצלמו, בצלם אלוקים ברא אותו, so הקדוש ברוך הוא gave human beings some power from God himself, but what for? ויברך אותם אלוקים, ויאמר להם, פרו ורבו. So first of all, the פרו ורבו is something that you have to negotiate, to do with the world. ומילאו את הארץ. You have to look for your sviva, for your environment. Nowadays, we talk a lot about environment, places and issues. And for Perek Aleph and Bet are just environment, nothing more than that. HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't exist in the relation. HaKadosh Baruch Hu exists in creating, but he doesn't exist in human beings' world. I'm not created in order to worship HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I'm created in order to look at the world and develop it. Mamash like Rav Soloveitchik. It's not drasha, it's mamash pshat. Okay? HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't exist here. It doesn't even, just we'll see it in פרק ב', ויאמר אלוקים, okay, so ויאמר להם פרו ורבו מילאו את הארץ וכבשו עורדו בדגת הים בעוף השמיים בכל החיה, ויאמר אלוקים הנה נתתי לכם. It's like the indulged boy that you give him everything, you don't tell him anything bad, just Hamud, you can do whatever you want, just here if you are hungry you have a fridge full of food, if you're thirsty you have a lot of cola, just drink, eat, enjoy, no morality at all, no worshipping of HaKadosh Baruch Hu at all. הנה נתתי לכם עשב זרע וכל זה יהיה לכם לאוכלה ולכל חיית הארץ, okay? But pay attention to what is famous in the name of Rav Kook, but is mentioned even before him, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't give Adam and Eve the opportunity to eat meat at all. Okay, they're just vegetarian till Perek Tet, till Noach gets out of his ark, and then HaKadosh Baruch Hu will tell him that you are now able to do it. So we have again HaKadosh Baruch Hu creates a human being in a world in which human being takes care of their environment. Okay, you would ask me, okay, so if he takes care of the environment, so why does he eat trees? Okay, but I think that the answer is very simple. When eating a cow, the cow is dead. Okay, you destroy something. When eating grass, when eating fruits, sometimes it's even better for the tree that you take the fruits and it's matzmiach new fruits, so at least you don't damage anything. Okay, you know that according to Rashbam, the chet of דור הפלגה in פרק י"א at the end of Parshat Noach would be that they used they to control one of each other. Okay, they had relations, one מנעשה לנו שם. Okay, so here mamash how do they make a shame? How do they build a tower? So they use a world and they don't take care of the world itself. You can take it to urbanization, building to the height, whatever you want. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the role in which Adam is destined to be a part of the world, and Adam Arishon in דור הפלגה, they take the world and use it in a bad way. But let's go further. We have פרק ב'. In פרק ב' ממש, as I said, HaKadosh Baruch Hu puts Adam ממש in order to take care of the nature without davening. Davening is Rashi, is very nice, but I don't see anything. V'adam ayin la'avod et ha'adama. What is your goal in the world? La'avod et ha'adama. Okay, to be with good relations with the ground, with environment. ועד יעלה מן הארץ, וייצר השם אלוקים עפר מן האדמה, ויפח באפיו נשמת חיים, ויהיה אדם לנפש חיה. So here you see ממש, you are a part of the environment, so take care of it. ויטע השם אלוקים גן בעדן מקדם, וישים שם את האדם אשר יצר, and then הקדוש ברוך הוא says, ועץ הדעת טוב ורע. ויקח השם אלוקים את האדם, ויניחהו בגן עדן לעובדה ולשומרה. ויצב השם אלוקים על האדם לאמור, מכל עץ הגן אכול תאכל, ומעץ הדעת טוב ורע לא תאכל ממנו, כי ביום אכולך ממנו מות תמות. We know from Chazal, from the Midrashim, that here you have all the base or all the construction of all mitzvot aseh and all mitzvot lo taseh. By saying mikol etz hadat and mikol etz hagan achol tochel, it's superfluous. Why do I have to tell him that? So it's כאילו the basis of all kol mitzvot aseh. HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells me something, I have to do it. So in the future, will give me a lot of mitzvot ramach, mitzvot aseh that I have to do. and the Kadosh Baruch Hu wants to tell me not to do, so he gives me just one thing: don't eat from it. That, as you know, it's not an apple. It's, according to Chazal, some different things: wine, wheat, whatever you want, etrog, but not an apple. That's Christianity. But Hakadosh Baruch Hu tells him one thing is an order and one thing is an order not to do. But if you look well and just think freely without presumptions, so what does HaKadosh Baruch Hu tell him here? Don't look at it like with the world Vaitzav, but just think. HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells him, be with relation with Teva, with nature, with trees. Use them. Don't use this, but use others. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't tell Adam HaRishon anything about me, about HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Okay? If you can look at it like by Chazal, we understand that HaKadosh Baruch Hu used the command to do or not to do as the first relation between man and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. By telling him you're able to eat, he says he enables him, and by saying no, that's the only command that he had. But look differently at the same thing. HaKadosh Baruch Hu מוציא את עצמו מהמשחק. He takes himself out of the play. HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells him in Perek Bet, I leave you to do whatever you want, just take control of the environment. Okay? Then, ויצר השם אלוקים כל חיית השדה ואת כל עוף השמיים, ויבא אל האדם לראות מה יקרא לו, וכל אשר יקרא לו האדם, נפש חיה ושמו. So Adam gives names to everything in the creation, and it's clear that it didn't tell him this is a cow, this is a crow, this is whatever, an ant. It's not just a name. Adam understood the neshama of it, the nefesh of it. Okay, so he really had understanding of the whole creation. But again, he doesn't have not tov velo ra. Okay, he doesn't have choice. I'm going back to the Rambam's kushia, the Rambam's terutz I live now. But Adam HaRishon, before his chet, before Perek Gimel, he doesn't have any choice, any free choice. What is he created for? Lichora, from Perek Aleph and Bet, just to be the most creative, to do whatever you want, just in order to think freely of the world. I think that nowadays the non-religious world is very similar in a way to this interpretation of Adam HaRishon Lifnei HaChet, because I'm not talking about how they dress. Yes, I'm talking about the freedom that you have nothing bounded to, nothing, and you have freedom, full freedom to do whatever you want and to live with harmony with the settlements and with the environments around you, and just make your best to make it a better place. Okay, so זה ממש הדבר הראשון והיחיד שאדם הראשון is created for. הקדוש ברוך הוא takes Adam HaRishon to do that. ויקרא אדם שמות, and then הקדוש ברוך הוא tells him, ויפל השם אלוקים תרדמה על האדם, וישן, ויקח אחת מצלותיו, ויסגור בשר תחתנה. So הקדוש ברוך הוא makes a surgery, and ויבן, again, the first building in the Mikra is here by a woman, okay? It's not, it's mentioned once in the Gemara that a wife is called a binyan, okay? And in Ilchot Shabbat, when how it's called, a ponytail in English, when a woman makes a tzama, so there is boneh if she does it with three stones. So it's called bniya. So it's not just that Chazal thought that making a tzama is bniya like Lego. Okay, it's the real first place in which we have building in the Mikra, and in relation to the creation of a woman. ויבן השם אלוקים את הצלה אשר לקח מן האדם לאישה והביאה אל האדם, ויאמר האדם זאת הפעם עצם מעצמי ובשר מבשרי. Pay attention to the description how he says about the woman. He understands that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave him a present. Okay? HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave him a present. You would think that Adam HaRishon is so perfect that he'll have acknowledgement or akarat hatov to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And he understands that if he gets a present, he'll see in the future whether it's a good present or not. But till now, he got a present. Say thank you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Think that if you get something, it requires you something in Avodat Hashem. What I would do with my wife in order to worship HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But Adam HaRishon doesn't have that at all. Vayomer Adam, zot apam, etzem me'atzamai, uvasar מבשרי. If we were Greek, we would think of Narcis. Okay, how narcissist he can be. He just think of himself. Etzem me'atzamai, just a part of me. Therefore, I call her Isha, כי מאיש לוקח הזאת. It's very nice that he calls her Isha כי מאיש לוקח הזאת. And according to the definition, if I want to make even Shushan grammar or a dictionary, sorry. So if I want to make a dictionary, I'll say, yeah, it's very nice because Isha is from Ish. Okay, it has a relation. But think what Adam says here. It doesn't relate to this creature as a part of Avodat Hashem, because in Perek Aleph and Perek Bet, we talk about a world where there is no Avodat Hashem at all. And if we have to finish, so what I think we have to conclude from this perspective, because sometimes we take a lot of things that we know nowadays, like Teire or a free choice that we have after the Chet, and we were so deeply rooted in these assumptions. So we make retrospectively, we take them and use them for the period of time before it existed. And since we cannot understand Adam HaRishon of Perek Aleph and Bet without Bechira Chofshit, so we would say that it had a style of Bechira Chofshit. That's what the Rambam says. It had the Bechira Chofshit between Emet v'Sheker, not Tov or Ra. So just the terms, just the system changed. But the Adam, for the Rambam, it's mamash ikar, as he writes in Hilchot Shuvah. You cannot relate to a human being without a free choice. It's Aleph Bet. But if you look in Pshat, according to this Pshat, so even free choice, Adam HaRishon didn't have it before his Chet, and mamash not Avodat Hashem. And if when talking about coming back to the period of time before the Chet, now yes, we always said Chadesh Yameinu kekedem, so we miss Kedem. Where is Kedem? Kan Kedem is in our Parsha. Kan הוא הולך קדמת השור. Yes, we have later we have Kedem mamash. So, וניחהו בגן עדן, כשהוא מוציא אותו מגן עדן, he takes him out of, מקדם לשני הקרובים. So, Adam HaRishon yearns for Kedem, and if he yearns for Kedem, he yearns for a world where he doesn't have any Avodat Hashem, where he doesn't have Torah, he doesn't have worshiping, he doesn't have prayer, he doesn't have what do I mean prayer? When I'm saying prayer, I'm not talking about the nisuach that we have from Anshe Knesset Gdola. I'm talking about the basic yearning for something between the ilah and the alul, as a philosopher says, that between the created person and the one that created him. Between Pinocchio and Geppetto, okay? That he'll have some relation between the one that created him. But according to this perek, and it's very, very interesting, we don't have time for that, but learning Kehilat. And in Kehilat, we have so many phrases and prakim talking about human being as coming to enjoy the world. פרק ב' בניתי, קניתי, בני בית היה לי, שרים ושרות, שידה ושבודות, וכל אשר שאלו אליי לא הצלתי מהם. שלמה המלך talks about using the world and enjoying from everything, and we think that he was very, very unique in that, because usually we don't like his personality of the hedonist who enjoys everything. But if you look basically in Kedem, in the place where you yearn for, there is no tefillah, there is no yearning for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu puts Adam HaRishon just to use his creativity and to improve the world. Adam HaRishon is, in our Ashkafa, is mamash, is in Tzelem Elokim, is ozer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, okay? It's not like in Islam that is bent, is nothing, and he has to nihilize himself in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We are the Sgan, the vice God, and we can help him in creating the world in ככל אשר עשה אלוקים לעשות. But again and again, we don't have anything, any ציפייה from the Adam to do anything for God and to thank him, to admit that he exists. That all come כאילו after the chet as a second stage. And that's interesting, but we have to end in here. So good night, and we'll hear just בשורות טובות, ישועות ונחמות.
Hildesheimer Kikeda. That sounds like an idea.
Yeah. Nowadays, I think we'll at least Kedem would be before Shabbat. That last Friday would be Kedem. Sukkot would be Kedem. Enough for us for this year, I think.
By the way, what does Isha mean in the previous pasuk?
Isha?
Yeah.
What do you mean? Here?
In the yeah.
At Pshat, you have to say that it's the assumption, הנחת המבוקש. After the Pasuk of Gimel, it will be called Isha, but now we don't, it's X, or call it A, or whatever you want, and then Adam said, דות הפעם עצם העצמיים ושם מבשרי לזאת תיקרא אישה, and therefore, even in Pasuk כ"ב, you can use the word Isha. But that's לכאורה הפשט, but it's a good question, because לכאורה, from what you're asking, it seems as if you have another interpretation of Isha before the Isha is called by Adam. Okay, very similar to Matzah, by the way. We have an interpretation of the Matzah in Leil HaSeder because we didn't have time, but we know that even before that, before Leil HaSeder, Adam is ordered in Perek Yud-Bet, Shmot Yud-Bet, HaKadosh Baruch Hu orders Moshe to make the Matzah before. So we have the same thing like here. It's interesting. We have to think of different answers, but the very trivial is that he just uses
Larry.
Interesting. But maybe you have two women in one woman.